This episode of Locked On Capitals, I talk about the players' meeting that took place today. Yes, the Capitals players are seeking help from within. Like TJ Oshie talks about, Peter Laviolette can't go out there and win these games for us. And then there's a new goalie competition in Washington, and the Capitals take on the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. I'll talk about all of that and more next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm your host, Dan Homey. You can find me on Twitter at DanCaps218. You can find Locked On Caps on Twitter at Locked On Caps. And then also you can find this podcast on all the major platforms, including YouTube. And thank you for making this your first listen or view of the day. Like I talked about here in the beginning, Washington Capitals, TJ Oshie, and all the players, they got together for a special meeting to talk about the state of the Washington Capitals. What is going on with this team? Like he talked about later in the video I'll show you here, that coaching can only go so far. Peter Laviolette and Blaine Forsythe and Arneal, they can't all get out on the ice and win these games for the Washington Capitals. They are going to have to look within and figure out how they're going to turn this team around before it's too late. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about there's a goalie competition in Washington. And yes, that is a subject that I've talked about quite a bit in this podcast, but it's never been more necessary to talk about it than now. Things aren't going well in the goaltender department, and where are they going to turn? Is it going to be Ilya Samsonov? Is it going to be Vitek Vanecek, or is there someone else they have in mind? We'll talk about that. And then the game tonight, the Washington Capitals take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, the reigning Stanley Cup winners 2 years in a row. The Tampa Bay Lightning, it is going to be a big task for the Washington Capitals. But first, let's get to it. We're going to talk about the Capitals, and it's not all doom and gloom, is it? The Capitals, since March 1st, in a span of 14 games, the Capitals have killed 33 of 39 penalties and rank tied for third in the NHL in penalty kill percentage at 84.6. So, like I'm saying, it's not all doom and gloom on this team. There are some things that are going well on this team. It's just that they need to kind of get things to gel a little bit more. If you're going to look at the bad things that it's going on with the Washington Capitals, you got to pick out a couple of the good things as well. And yes, there are some good things out there. I mean, this team is playing well. And up until recently, they were playing great. Take a look at the month of March. They played a majority of that season or that month with only losing a couple games in regulation. So I know it's easy to push the panic button, and sometimes it comes easy to people, including myself, but it's just important to get some perspective. TJ Oshie talked about today that this was one of the best practices they've had in a long time, and they had one of those meetings that I talked about in previous podcasts where it's the players getting together and deciding what needs to get done. How are they going to fix this team? Oshie said the Caps had a players-only meeting yesterday. Obviously, we're not happy about the way the team's been playing as of late, especially at home. Maybe had two of the best practices as far as working and focused. So I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. And TJ Oshie talked about that as much as he said that he was looking forward to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And what better team to put to test what you have learned than the Tampa Bay Lightning? They've won the Stanley Cup the last 2 seasons. So if the Washington Capitals plan on turning it around and they want to play an opponent that is going to give them a real competition, this is one. This isn't the Sabres. This isn't the Devils. This is the real deal. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's going to be a big one. We've gotten away from having 20 guys in the lineup come with a purpose to win and win a certain way, and we haven't had that yet, Oshie said. Sometimes you can get away with it if Alex Ovechkin goes out and scores a bunch of goals or Kuznetsov does his things, but a lot of times you can't do that. They're going to need everyone pulling on the rope, as Barry Trotz would say, from lines 1 through 4. This team has got to figure it out before it's too late. And let's hear what TJ Oshie had to say here.
What's the feeling of the team after the last couple of games and not going the way you guys obviously like?
Well, we've had some meetings. Obviously, we're not happy with the way the team's been playing as of late, especially at home. But maybe two of the best practices we've had this year, I think, as far as guys working and focused. And so I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow.
In those meetings, what have you guys talked about with regard to generating more offense?
Nothing. We've talked about our identity and how we have to play. The meetings have been of players meetings.
Oh, okay.
So anytime you're in a rut like this, and this is in my opinion, and guys aren't playing, we're not playing our brand of hockey, we're not playing to our identity. I don't think any amount of coaching would get you out of that. That comes down to the guys on the ice, the players playing a certain way, being prepared a certain way. So we've been talking as a group, as players, and just getting some thoughts out there on what things need to change. And so I think we got a pretty good handle on it. And our next two games, there's probably no one else I'd rather play to get us going again.
So less X's and O's and more like overarching kind of big picture stuff?
Yeah. More each guy kind of looking at themselves and seeing what they want out of the season and what we have to do to get to where ultimately we all want to be in June.
Yesterday, was one of them yesterday?
Yep.
Okay.
I feel like for a lot of the season you guys have talked about identity and wanting to find that. Has, I guess, the definition of identity for the team changed since the beginning of the season, or is it?
The identity hasn't changed. We've just gotten away from it. We've gotten away from having, 20 guys in the lineup come with a purpose to win and win a certain way, and we haven't had that. Sometimes you can get away with it if Ovi goes out and scores a bunch of goals, or Kuzi does his thing, but a lot of times you can't.
How have you felt kind of getting your timing back again after
Yeah, it's I've felt better actually these last couple days. It's still definitely not 100%, but feeling better, and I think the timing's kind of getting there now, and so me like everyone else needs to come to the rink with a purpose each day and work a little harder, a little simpler to get us back to where we need to be.
You've taken some kind of shots behind the play, like a couple of cross checks from lower back, and last game I remember you kind of started into the bench after something. Do you feel like it's happening to you with more regularity, or guys?
No, maybe people are just noticing it more. I don't know.
Okay.
I think when you play the middle of our power play, you're gonna take shots. You're gonna take shots in the middle there. Maybe I tell RD to start hitting their guys a little bit more, because you really get punished in there, and it seems like the refs don't really care when you're on the power play. If you're in the middle, I guess anything goes. So. I'm used to that. It was no different with England and against Vegas in the finals.
Yeah.
You want to play PP1 with guys that have all world talent, and you gotta take a little punishment in there. So it's no big deal.
All right, so that was TJ Oshie talking about practice and that special meeting among players. Tarek El-Bashir, you could hear in the background asking him, were you guys working on how to score more goals? That's typically not what a players meeting is about. That is more of a coaching meeting that they would have. Those kind of meetings typically are just the players talking about, hey, we know each other. We have a history together. How are we going to fix this before it's too late? We won the Stanley Cup just several years ago. And we can find a way to do it. It's pretty much the same nucleus minus a couple guys that have left for whatever reason. So the Capitals are going to have to do that. They're going to have to look within inside and see, what they got to do to fix it. And just taking a look at the lines, Peter Laviolette has been tinkering with the lines. On Monday's practice, it was Ovi, Kuznetsov, and Oshie on the top line. And then I noticed on Tuesday, it was Ovechkin, Kuzi, and Shiri. And then just looking at it, the lines didn't change a whole lot other than that. There was some difference. I guess the D pairs were the same as well. Now that I look at it, it says McMichael and Axel Janssen Fjällby appear to be extras or healthy scratches, most likely, in the game tonight against Tampa. That remains to be seen. There could be some injuries. There could be something that Peter Laviolette and the coaching staff want to change. But that looks to be the lineup. Putting Oshie on the top line would be an interesting move. Shiri, they've had some luck with Shiri on the top line, but I've always kind of had the idea of keeping Wilson on that top line. But I think that what Laviolette is trying to do there is spread out some of that scoring. You don't want all the scoring on one line. So that's why they got that Mantha, Backstrom, and Wilson. Any line that's being centered by Nick Backstrom is a great line. But I think that was good that they finally had one of those meetings. I've kind of been talking about that for the last month or so, really, that they should do that, because before March, they struggled as well. Vitek Vanecek got injured in February in the beginning part against Pittsburgh, and then they had kind of that goalie carousel, and it was kind of a crazy situation there for a while. All right, after the break, we are going to talk about the goaltending competition. Yes, there's a goalie competition, if you didn't know. With the Washington Capitals, who is going to be the number one netminder. It appeared to be Vitek Vanecek as the number one, and it might be. But is there a chance that Ilya Samsonov or a question mark behind door number 3 lies in Hershey? We'll talk about that after the break. But first, with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Get farm fresh seasonal produce and easy-to-make recipes delivered right to your door. Ingredients travel from the farm to your doorstep in under a week, so they always arrive fresh, all without a trip to the grocery store or farmer's market. And that's what it's all about, getting fresh ingredients without wasting your time going to the grocery store. Life is far too busy to be wasting your time doing that. It's all about convenience with HelloFresh. Not only do the ingredients come pre-portioned, so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but it's easier than ever to get filling meals on the table in a snap. With options like family-friendly or quick and easy recipe, HelloFresh's chefs really know how to diversify the menu with seasonal recipes like salmon limon, pasta primavera. Pick your favorite from 50 different weekly options. Skip meals when you need to, change delivery dates, or update your preferences in the HelloFresh app. They make it so easy. So that's what I've noticed with HelloFresh is I have 2 kids at home, and sometimes I don't have that time to be cooking or going to the grocery store. With HelloFresh, they make it so easy for me. The recipes show up, the food is fresh and ready to go. So sometimes you go to the grocery store and you pick something up and it is expired, or if you pick up some lettuce, it's already turned brown. What is the story with that? And not with HelloFresh. HelloFresh saves me so much time so I can get back to what's important, family time, watching Capitals hockey, of course. So go to HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's right. Go to HelloFresh.com/LOCKEDON16 and use promo code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Thank you, HelloFresh. All right, before we start this next segment, let's talk about Locked On Now. Locked On Now is Locked On's network of local experts on everything to do with the NHL. So don't waste your time going to the big networks, watching a 1-hour program about the Washington Capitals, when sometimes they don't even talk about them, and you're like, why did I waste my time? So whatever team you follow Locked On Now and be in the know when it comes to the NHL. All right, in the second segment, we are going to talk about that goalie competition that is going on right now. It appeared, for the most part, that Vitek Vanecek had it locked down as the #1 netminder, but the last game really brought into question Who is Vitek Vanecek? He seems to be changing every day. Who is this netminder? Vitek Vanecek is 1-4-0 in his last 5 starts with a .863 save percentage and a 4.16 goals against average. So Vitek Vanecek has not been playing well as of late, and the questions abound. Why is that? What happened to Vitek Vanecek? Well, it could be said that the defense hasn't been playing well in front of them. And when you give up 2 goals in the first 2 minutes of a game, that can kind of throw you off mentally. And I think to a certain extent that what happened with Vitek Vanecek. But nonetheless, he is not playing how he normally played. The goalie competition, which seemed to have been won by Vanecek, is open again per Coach Laviolette. We've got games down the stretch for a push for someone to make a case. They're probably both going to continue to get games. Peter Laviolette goes on to say, I'd like to have a guy that has emerged and move forward from the group heading into the playoffs. They're both good goaltenders, but you want somebody to really take hold of it. There's an opportunity down the stretch here. Just talking with Vitek, we're looking for him to get back dialed in to where he was, Laviolette said. He was really good and really strong for us for a long time, almost from like January 1st on, and the games that he got on, that he wasn't injured, he did really good for us. So I don't know what's going on with Vitek Vanecek. But like I say, and I've mentioned in the previous podcast this week, they don't have a lot of time to figure it out. They need to see him, get him dialed in, work with the goalie coach, and see where he's at. Is there an underlying injury going on there? Because whoever it is, if it's Vitek Vanecek or Ilya Samsonov, I really don't care at this point. As much as I've said things about Ilya Samsonov that aren't too favorable, if he steps up and emerges as the number one, then great. They have their number one netminder. But color me skeptical when it comes to Ilya Samsonov. So on the flip side of the coin with Ilya Samsonov's last start was on March 25th in a 4-3 shootout win against Buffalo. He has had an up and down season riddled with inconsistencies that started in training camp. Samsonov looked like he would be the starting goaltender on opening night, but Vanecek got the nod. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is that the Washington Capitals really have appeared to be all in when it comes to Ilya Samsonov. They always have been. And people questioned the Washington Capitals, Brian McClellan, and the ownership, Ted Leonsis and Dick Patrick and everyone else that's involved in the brass with the Washington Capitals. Why did a team that went from winning the Stanley Cup go to such a young, unproven tandem in Vitek Vanecek and Ilya Samsonov? If you guys remember history, Ilya Samsonov was slated to be the number one, and then they got Henrik Lundqvist. Henrik Lundqvist had that heart condition. So I think that kind of left the Capitals scrambling. Who was going to be their number one netminder? And I think Brian McClellan's like, I think we'll just go with what we have. I know they were kicking the tires on Marc-Andre Fleury, and I think they would have liked to gone with him. But I think that the ask was just too high. That would have been top draft picks. I think Minnesota gave up a number 2 draft pick, which, all things considered, isn't too bad if the Minnesota Wild go on and win a Stanley Cup. But I will say that Minnesota Wild team, giving respect where respect is due, is stacked a little bit more than the Washington Capitals are right now. I don't think you can really debate that. Take a look at their record, see how they've played as of late. So unless the wheels really fall off on the Minnesota Wild, that was a wise decision for them to pick up Marc-Andre Fleury. So, I mean, they're making their push, and the Washington Capitals are all in on their goalies. Did they make the right decision? Is Vitek Vanecek and Ilya Samsonov the 2 goalies that are going to lead the Washington Capitals to the Stanley Cup? I am not so sure. I think, like Peter Laviolette said there, that it is an open goalie competition. And I don't think he's ruled out any of the goalies that they have in the organization. You can't really rule out the other goalies in the organization. You have Phoenix Copley and you have Zach Fucale in AHL. And then it's Hunter Shepard in the ECHL. I don't remember who his understudy is, but I think that you have some potential there. And between Phoenix Copley and Zach Fucale, I think that Zach Fucale has the edge. Just kind of taking a look at his record, as far as wins and losses, it doesn't look as favorable. But I still think that Zach Fucale deserves that shot, how he played with the Washington Capitals and how he also played earlier with Hershey. He had those 3 consecutive shutouts. It was a Hershey record. Give that guy his shot. I mean, we're going all in on the playoffs. I'm in it to win it. with this Washington Capitals team. I wish they were too. And I like both of these guys. Center Evgeny Kuznetsov said earlier in the week, they are young and reckless a little bit sometimes, but at the same time, whoever play, we feel confident, we trust them, and we make mistakes sometimes right. It's just about we're going to support them when they make mistakes. And I noticed that there was a real change when they went back to Vitek Vanecek. If you remember that game that he got pulled, Ilya Samsonov, that is, then Vitek was inserted into that game, and then they slammed the door in their face. So I think that to say that you have faith in whatever goalie is playing is a nice, noble thing to say, but I don't think it's necessarily based in reality. So my takeaway from this segment is give Zach Fucale his shot. Let Vitek Vanecek and Ilya Samsonov fight it out for the number one spot. They don't have a lot of time to fight it out, but they are going to be put to task here within the next couple games. You are playing Tampa. Like I said, they won a Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. If you want competition, if you want to really test a goalie, put him in there. Put Ilya Samsonov in there. I really don't care. At this point, it is about determining who the number one netminder is. I mean, I would like to have Vitek out there, based on his history to get a win against a big opponent. But at the same time, you're going to sooner or later have to put both these goalies to test. Because when you go to the playoffs, you can't go, I guess we should have saw what we had in Hershey. It's going to be too late then, and then you're going to be talking about next season. Let's not talk about next season until we get through this season. Let's be in it to win it, Washington Capitals. You still have that window that you talk about that's open, and it is open. But, I mean, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, Carlson, etc., the window's closing for them, and a rebuild looms. So let's be in it to win it. And if you're going to be in it to win it, you have to be by having another number one netminder. So like I say, pick out the number one netminder, Ilya Samsonov or Vitek Vanecek, whoever that is, that's your number one. And then your number two is going to be whoever you deem to be the best goalie in Hershey. To me, it's going to be Zach Fucale. Right now, knee-jerk reaction, Vitek 1, Zach Fucale number 2. End of report. That is my takeaway from that segment. And after the break, we are going to talk about the Washington Capitals game tonight against Tampa. It's going to be a big one. Make no mistake about it. Are they going to be able to stand up to this team? I mean, the rubber meets the road when it comes to playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Make no mistake about it. We'll talk about Tampa Bay next, but first, Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' Insane Protection Program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays exclusively for our listeners. That's right, just you Locked On listeners. Head to ShadyRays.com and use Locked On to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's right. Use code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for their best deal of the season, 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Ray sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. I own a pair of these, and they're great. Why spend the crazy money out there on name brand sunglasses when you can get Shady Rays for a fraction of the price, 50% off? Where are you going to get 50% off? And they're fashionable, they look great, and they protect your eyes from the coming summer's sun. I love them. I know you will too. Go over to Shady Rays and take advantage of this great offer. All right, from one good sponsor to the other. It's about eating healthy this year and to keeping good on that New Year's resolution. This is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolution, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. They're all so good. These are going to be your new favorite, as they are mine. I'm going to keep my New Year's resolution to eat healthy. Take away all those donuts and junk food and throw them away. Stick to Built Bars. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yeah, the Puffs too, 100% real chocolate, low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere between 200 to 300 calories. Ouch. Go to Built Bar and scroll down to the macros chart. You'll be blown away. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugars, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to candy bars, which usually have around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. So make good on your New Year's resolution and go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thank you, Built. So, in this final segment, we are going to talk about the game tonight. It's going to be a big one, and this is going to put the Washington Capitals to test. The Washington Capitals face the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are 43-19-7 with 93 points. Their home record is 21-7-5, road 22-12-2 versus the Washington Capitals, who have a 37-22-10 record for 84 points. And the biggest thing to notice about this team is they are loaded with goal scoring potential. Just taking a look here at what they have. Corey Perry has 16 goals. Alex Klinhorn has 21. Braden Point has 27. Brandon Hagel has 23. I mean, like I'm saying, this team is stacked from the floor to the rafters. And are the Washington Capitals going to be able to stand up to this team? I mean, make no mistake about it. They are going to bring it. They have great goaltending as well. They have Brian Elliott and Andrei Vasilevsky in net. Both of them are playing really well. And Andrei Vasilevsky has a 35-15 record with a .917 save percentage. Just stacked all the way around versus the Washington Capitals. I mean, make no mistake, we have Alex Ovechkin with 42 goals, who will definitely get 50 goals this season, unless he gets injured. I guess that's always possible. With Tom Wilson, 21 goals, Evgeny Kuznetsov with 22. It's going to be a big game tonight. I hope you're ready for it. This is a game that is not broadcast locally. It's going to be on TNT. So, I mean, you're going to have to go out, and if you don't have it, you're going to have to get a subscription to it, or maybe find it at a local sports bar. I don't know. You'll just have to get a bit creative today. The Capitals face the Tampa Bay Lightning on Wednesday tonight at Capital One Arena for the third and final time this season. The Caps are 0-1-1 versus Tampa Bay this season, with both games being decided by one goal. In the season series, Washington has outshot Tampa Bay 66-50. Alex Ovechkin has earned 92 points. That's 49 goals, 43 assists, and 74 career games against the Lightning, the third most points he has earned against an NHL franchise. With Carolina at 98 and Atlanta, Winnipeg 94, Ovechkin ranks first in the NHL history in goals 49 and points 92 against Tampa Bay, and ranks fourth in assists. Nicklas Backstrom 48, Jaromir Jagr 47, Daniel Alfredsson 46. Ovechkin has earned 29 points in his last 24 games against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's going to be a big game out there. Make no mistake about it. So just some things to look out for in this game. Evgeny Kuznetsov points in 13 of his last 14 games. Tom Wilson points in 5 of his last 6 games. And Alex Ovechkin, 10 goals in his last 14 games. So those are some key takeaways to look at. Alex Ovechkin ranks 4th in goals, 42. John Carlson is 8th amongst defense in points, 55, tied for 7th in goals, 11, and 8th in assists, 44. Vitek Vanecek is tied for 9th in shutouts, 3. Notes of the night: Alex Ovechkin recorded an assist against Minnesota Wild on Sunday for his 1,399th career goal. That passed Yari Curry with 1,398 points for the 21st most points in NHL history. He's now 1 point away from 1,400 points. Wow. just remember where you are with watching Alex Ovechkin, that we actually got lucky enough to see him play on ice. He is a player we're going to talk to our kids about. I mean, let's get real here. Ovechkin has 42 goals on the season, good for 4th in the NHL. Ovechkin is aiming to reach the 50-goal mark for the 9th time in his career. That would tie Wayne Gretzky and Mike Bossy for the most 50-goal seasons in NHL history. These stats just blow me away. Ovechkin would additionally become the first player in NHL history to reach the 50-goal mark at the age of 36 or older. Ovechkin's 42 goals this season are tied with Phil Esposito for the 3rd most by a player age 36 or older in NHL history. Ovechkin is one of the 6 players in NHL history to score 40 or more goals at age 36, and has reached the mark of his 12th time in his career, which tied Wayne Gretzky for the most in the NHL history. Ovechkin also becomes the fastest player in NHL history to reach 40-goal mark by the age of 36 or older. Since 2005-06, Ovechkin's rookie season, no other player has more than 40 goals per season. So, wow, those stats just are quite amazing. The Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin, see what I'm saying? You can't be done on this team. I mean, just look at the brass on this team. A lot of other teams wish they had this depth. This season, the Capitals hold the best record against the Metro Division opponents, 14-6-1. Among Eastern Conference teams currently in a playoff position, only the Florida Panthers with a 17-5-1 record and the Toronto Maple Leafs have higher point percentages against the Metro Division. Through games played April 4th collectively, the Metro Division teams have gathered 620 points this season, second behind only the Central Division. The Capitals have a combined 8-8-2 record, .500 points percentage against Eastern Conference teams currently in a playoff position. During Washington's Stanley Cup winning 17-18 season, the Capitals held a 38-23-7 record through the team's last 69 games. The Capitals currently hold a record of 37-22-10, 84 points through 69 games. So let's talk about that. I mean, it's easy to get down on this Capitals team and think that they don't have what it takes, but I'm here to tell you they do. This team is ready for Tampa Bay. Just got to square away that goalie position. Just rattling off those stats that I just read to you there. This team is stacked, and like I said, this is a team we're going to talk to our kids about. So let's not get down on this Capitals team. It's not too late for them to turn it around. If you look back on the 18 season, that was a Cinderella story. Can they do it again in 22? Let's hope for that. All right, this has been the Locked On Capitals podcast for today. I want to thank you so much again for joining me. It's been fun covering this team for you guys. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Host Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And let's hope for big things tonight as the Washington Capitals take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like TJ Oshie said, this is a game that they want to play. This is a game that's going to put them to test. You can't really test yourself against the Sabres and the Devils. It's a nice feather in your hat, I guess, if you can win it. But winning against the reigning Stanley Cup champions 2 years in a row, they would feel really good about that, wouldn't they? Let's hope for that. I will talk about that game tomorrow. Thank you for watching.